Oh, oh, here we go. Cold here. Right, I think we're live. Give us a thumbs up if we are. Or type something below. I think it's working. Just give it a second or two for things to wake up. I need to thaw out. Let me see. Evening, Peter and Stella. Happy birthday! Thank you very much. And Paul and Stevie, marvellous. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthdays! Look at that. That's more than I've had all day. Thank you very much. Oh dear, it's cold here today. No heating at the moment. I'm waiting for the Blue to arrive for new wood burner, which was supposed to be here in 1 to 3 days, and now they're saying, oh, it'll be 7 to 10 working days. In other words, 2 weeks rather than 2 days. So not too happy about that. So might get it before Christmas, maybe. But then, of course, all the other disruptions and strikes and nonsense going on, who knows? So there we are. Just have to be cold in the meantime. I don't want to knock a hole through the wall to put the Blue through until obviously it's here to plumb up. Because that wouldn't be terribly clever, would it? Never mind. Just have to have a bonfire outside and sit around that, I think. Evening, Peter, as well. Yeah, so there we are. So I've been busy with that. Tomorrow I will do the auction payouts from last Sunday. So thanks for Gary. So if you sold stuff and I haven't paid you before from a previous auction, I won't have your bank details on file. So if you let me have them for tomorrow, then I can pay well. I think there's 1 or 2 odd bits I'm still chasing. People are being very slow at paying, which is annoying. But we're just about there, I think, on everything. Alan's coming tomorrow morning to collect stuff for 5 or 6 people. If you've got anything you need collecting, get hold of Alan Sharpish so he can put it on his van tomorrow, because he won't be here again then until after Christmas, I don't think. Let's just have a look what his schedule is. Don't think it's here till January after tomorrow. What am I looking for? Shipping. Let's have a look on the website. Yeah, it's not here then until 9th, 10th of January, so bear that in mind. Yeah, it's off Scotland North, South West and South Coast before Christmas for drop-offs. So then I've got parcels to post out as well, spares and bits and bobs and small stuff. So I'll get cracking on those. I'm not sure what's happening with these postal strikes, but we'll probably send them out on carrier anyway. So fingers crossed you'll get them before Christmas and not get lost. So that's where we're up to with that. I had some pictures here somewhere of a few extra bits if you didn't tune in last night. A few bits that have come in for the next sale. The crane there's a relist. The people who bought it decided it was too big, too heavy. This electromechanical wall machines one was sold before. Can't be selling things twice. The Pace is one of the few. I think it was about the only machine left that didn't go. I sold the pinball that didn't make it in the auction, didn't quite hit reserve, and I sold the Interspace organ as well, both afterwards. Just didn't quite meet reserve in the auction, but we got them away afterwards, so that was good. Very nice Organ Deluxe there. This neon sign is huge. Let me just pause on that for a minute. Sold that before a few years back. It was custom made for a a very expensive private school for their end of year prom thing. It's about 5 foot square, something like that from memory. Very impressive, proper neon as well, proper glass neon, not the LED stuff. So if you've got a big games room or something, diner, bar, anything like that, it would make a rather nice piece for that. Yeah, the crane. What was the other thing I was going to show you? Oh yeah, the 11s is in the castle top case. Case has been painted, but it has got a crackle finish underneath. Whether you could take the black paint off to reveal the crackle, I don't know. If not, you might have to strip it and redo it, but there we are. That's that. Yes, very nice All Deluxe 3-ball reserve with its carved top flash. Yeah, so a few bits. So I'll get round to listing these bits and bobs probably next week. When there's a few more bits, hopefully, to kick it off. I'm not sure if anything's coming with Alan tomorrow or not. Yeah. Can't remember what he said now, if he's dropping anything off. Anyway, there we are. Let me have a mouthful of tea. So then I'm here tomorrow now, because the weather was going to go out on the road, but I'm not. So I'm here in Cambridge tomorrow. If you can get to me, I know some people are a bit snowed in who were going to come this week. But around Cambridge tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. The weather's supposed to be thawing out a little bit at the weekend. So current plan is to go to the Elephant House on Saturday. So if you've got anything to pick up, drop off, or want to meet the Elephant House on Saturday, get in touch. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll obviously confirm later in the week, confirm you individually. But that's what I'm hoping to do at the moment. When the roads are not quite so bad. Yeah, and then I think I might have mentioned briefly before, I've been thinking about a project for a year-long kind of thing to see if I can do better than the Chancellor. Basically, that sounds a bit obscure, doesn't it? I've been thinking for a while. I'll meet you at the H Chassis Super. So I will confirm, but all being well, we'll be there Saturday. And yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people individually, really, and a lot of people have asked me questions about how I think collectibles market is going to hold up with inflation going through the roof and cost of living and all this nonsense that's going on at the minute, and just general nonsense in the world with planned recessions and everything else. It's all planned, in my opinion. None of it's by coincidence. Whether the price of collectibles are going to hold up or not. Now, I speak to a lot of people in a lot of different markets who collect all sorts of different things. And at the moment, over the past few months, prices of collectibles are holding up and going up. Pretty much across the board, really. But the only thing that seems to be struggling is just sort of general antiques. Nobody seems to want to buy those, typically, because they've got house full of it to sell. Sort of furniture and bric-a-brac and all that kind of stuff. But anything that you might term a collectible all seems to be doing well. So I had a kind of a wild idea of, let's see, with inflation, the real rate of inflation currently, people are reckoning at about 15%. So your £1,000 in the bank is only going to be worth £850 in a year's time if you leave it in the bank, because you're not getting any interest anyway on credit balances. Whether or not I could beat that if I bought a load of stuff and then sold it all in a year's time and see how we get. Bits of die-cast toys are going through the roof. Yes, die-cast toys are stuff like Star Wars toys and all that sort of thing. They're markets I don't understand a lot. But say people I speak to in all sorts of different things. Classic cars, stamps, watches and clocks, but wine. I don't know anything about wine at all, but apparently wine's going up. All sorts of things are going up. So, but your money in the bank, your savings are going down rapidly. They're going down at 15% a year at the minute. So I had sort of had a wild idea. I thought, well, let's take reasonable sum of money, 25 grand, say, savings at the bank, and spend it on stuff, buy stuff. Then this time next year, have an auction, sell it all, no reserve, because the nature of any investment is you've got to cash it in, haven't you? So no good keeping it forever. A year is a very short time for an investment, generally speaking, if you're talking about obviously investing for your retirement or whatever for the future. But really to see if we can make more than, across the board, more than 15% essentially. So at the very least, that amount of money, I'm saying 25 grand to make a reasonable auction's worth of stuff, and a reasonable experiment to make it worthwhile doing. You know, it's got to be sort of 28, 29 in a year's time to be still worth £25,000 today, if that makes sense. So I thought, well, that would be an interesting plan, and to kind of document it as we go, what I can find to buy, and see what happens, really. Kind of risking my money so you don't have to. That makes sense. You can see if it works or not. Don't know. It's an interesting idea, but we've got to do something, because money in the bank is doing nothing. It's going down in value, isn't it? So that was my daft idea. So I think I might give that a go. As to what I'll find to buy, who knows? But I'm talking of things, proper stuff, not these daft, harebrained internet schemes and bitcoins and all that nonsense, which is all collapsing and it'll all be banned anyway before long. But actual, real, tangible things. And the theory being that with a reasonably diverse selection of stuff, you're not going to win on everything. No one ever does. Investments can go down as well as up and all that. But hopefully across a shed full of stuff, there would be a return on it to, you know, a return on the investment over the course of a year. There we are. So that's what I thought I'd try. If anyone's got any bright ideas, let me know. And sort of document it, perhaps where kind of separately, you'd just do a separate little video, perhaps once a week or something, on a different night than usual. Because it's although it'll all be sold by auction in a year's time, would be the plan. So December next year. Obviously, it's not the core business week to week, as it were. So it's kind of a side project that perhaps a lot of people wouldn't be terribly interested in, but those who are could follow along, really. And yeah, as to what sort of things, well, basically things that kind of interest me and things that I know a little bit about, I suppose. It'd be nice to find a few slot machines, but finding them, as we all know, is the challenge. They're not the easiest things to find, and that usual sort of stuff. But really, anything that I see that I think is a good buy, really, that might prove to be a good investment over a year or less, really, because I'm obviously not going to be able to go and spend all the money tomorrow. So some things will have a year's worth of maturing, if you like, and some might only end up with a week or two's if they don't get bought until next December. But I thought it was an interesting idea, and you can all see how much money I either managed to make or managed to lose, one or the other. Hopefully not lose too much. Be nice to make a bit. So the aim of the game is to really basically beat the Chancellor. See if Steve Hunt can beat Jeremy Hunt. Let's see. You know, if we can at least beat inflation, really. There we are. What do you think? Let me know. While I have a mouthful of tea. Getting very chapped lips because it's so cold here. So toys are going through the roof. I don't know anything about die-cast toys. But And yeah, it's a case of learning as you go, isn't it? But I might have a look out. There might be some job lots come up in some sales or something somewhere that might be worth a punt. Yeah. The slotty version of Wheeler Dealers. That's a car show, isn't it, I think? I don't watch much television. I think I spend more hours a year working on TV programs than I do watching them. Is that the one where they buy cars and do it up? I think I might have seen that one when they were doing Lotus, if that's the one I'm thinking of. Cars are interesting. Classic cars are apparently going up well. And a few odd things I look at certainly seem to be, but bearing in mind, you know, diesel and petrol, new cars are being banned in, what's it, 7 years' time. And no doubt shortly after that, petrol stations will start disappearing and the price of petrol will rocket even more than it is already. You do wonder what's going to happen there, really. I guess there will be some exemption for classic cars simply because an awful lot of politicians and lords and ladies have very nice car collections of very nice cars, and they're not all going to want to see them not be able to drive their own cars, are they? So self-interest will out on that one. So I'm sure petrol and diesel will still be available. And what are you going to run trucks on? You can't, you know, battery trucks aren't really a thing at the moment, are they? Maybe by 7 years' time there will be, who knows? But yeah, and trains. What are they going to run trains on? There's not electric trains everywhere, is it? Most trains are diesel. Okay, so that's it. Then select a member of the crew for a false price. Yeah, you know how television works. Next thing you'll be telling me that Drew Pritchard's program isn't real. Gosh, who'd have thought that? The funniest one was the what's the thing? The American one that came over here. The one where they supposedly auction off storage units that are abandoned. Storage Hunters, Storage Wars, or something it's called, I think. They're going with the bolt croppers and bolt cropper off the garage door lock, which are always the same lock if you notice, interestingly. Anyway, when that show came over here, I got a call, well, they didn't know it at the time, I got a call from a production designer, friend of another production designer. I've done a lot of their stuff for over the years, and they said, we're looking for some fairground stuff and some slot machines and that kind of thing. What have you got? I said, okay, yeah, I'll send you some photographs. Do you know what you want? So, oh no, just a surround. Said we'd quite like a gallop horse, a Dodgem car, maybe a ghost train, some panels, a few one-arm bandits and things. A bit of a selection, really. Okay, right. So I sent them a load of pictures of stuff I'd got to hire, and so I had a conversation back and forwards. I couldn't quite get out of this guy what the stuff was for. He wouldn't tell me. Now, TV and film productions are often pretty cagey. They have to be, obviously, but they usually tell you roughly what it's for. As in as much as, you know, what sort of setting the stuff's going in. Is it going to be a house, or is it going to be a club, or is it going to be a shop, or is it going to be whatever it is? And I kept saying, what is it? What is this? And, oh, well, we're sort of, all he says, we need sort of about sort of like a garage worth. So I said, all right, like a man cave thing. Oh yeah, something like that, it says. And something he just wouldn't tell me. So I rang my mate up and see if he knew what it was for, and he didn't really know either. So I did a bit of digging around and found out this production designer, he was working for the English version of Storage Wars, or whatever it's called, Storage Hunters. And yeah, it was basically to set up this garage, this lock-up full of fairground gear, as to be one of the abandoned storage units. So anyway, they didn't want to pay me enough, so I didn't do it in the end. This was shooting down in Harlow, if I remember rightly. And they ended up, they hired a classic car off some guy locally, parked his classic car in the garage, which they found abandoned. So yeah, there we are. TV isn't all it seems. Anyway, I was digressing. Yeah, I think classics will be legislated off the road before petrolist vans. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, because I just think, well, you know, lots of government bods and lots of lords especially have very nice classic car collections, which they're going to want to keep driving around. When all us little plebs aren't allowed to, so they're going to have to find somewhere around that, aren't they? Of being able to keep their very nice vintage Bentleys and Rollers and on the road, and all their fancy Ferraris and Lamborghinis and one thing and another, whilst banning us from driving our little cars about. So I'm not quite sure how that one's going to work. But it's kind of interesting that that cars are going up in value, it seems. You've got the whole kind of resto mod business, haven't you, where they take something like I don't know, you know, classic Jaguar or something, and put a new electric powertrain in it and make it into an electric car, essentially. But you see them, the E-Type electric car, but they're like £500,000 or something. Crazy money, aren't they? But, that's an interesting idea. Maybe that will become more affordable as more people do that, I suppose. But if the drivetrains become cheaper and easier to do body swaps of classic cars onto electrics. We see lots of electric Morris Minors running around the place, maybe. That'd be quaint, wouldn't it? Don't know. So yeah, I don't know whether I'll be buying any cars or not. Probably not. I've got enough cars as it is, and the space to store them is the problem. Not the problem at the minute. But it is an interesting thought. So the principle is really just to see if we can make a profit essentially on stuff. It seems to be, I mean, just when you look at the price of slot machines over the past few years, few people have commented when they've been collecting their stuff, just how much stuff has gone up over the past 5 years, probably. Right across the board with slot machines. So when you think of your, you know, your kind of your nice Oliver Wells Allwins used to be £400 or £500. Now they're getting, you know, £800-900. The Wonders machines were always a little bit more. They were maybe 6s for a good one. They're now sort of 12-15s for a good one. Yeah, the classic, you know, sort of Jennings Governor or something, you know, used to be able to pick up a really good one for £800. Now they're £1,600. They've doubled in price in 5 years or so. So they have proved to be a very good buy, that's for sure. Peter says, can't see it being banned, but will be very difficult to get hold of and crazy expensive just to get us common folk off the road. Or petrol, yes, I think it will be. Yeah. You'll probably go back to like in the early days of petrol sold in cans of the old 2-gallon petrol cans we sell in the auctions at, you know, nice Shell cans, metal cans. We used to sort of buy it in the shop before the days of pumps. It'll be that expensive. You think now it's easy to put £100 or more in a car or in a van. My van costs about 130 quid to fill up. Diesel's going up by some massive amount in the spring, isn't it, they reckon? So it's going to be a lot more than that to fill up. Yeah, so I can see it going back to buying, you know, 2-gallon cans for 50 quid or something daft. Just so you can sort of poodle about in your little car somewhere. Paul says, does car restorations where he works and have to turn down at least 2 a month? So many people want them done. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Maybe people just want to get the last blast while they can. Maybe that might be a thing, mightn't it? I think, well, you know, these lovely cars are going to be banned in a few years' time. So if you've always wanted a whatever particular type of car, it's a now or never. Get it restored now, get it on the road and have a few years driving it before you're not allowed at all. Which seems to be the way things are going with these insane governments. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know if I've got the confidence to buy cars. Well, A, I'd say the storage is the problem with them. B, I don't know a great deal about cars. I just like them. And I've got too many. But, yeah. Of course, it's got about a 2-year waiting list. Grief, yeah. Perhaps I should look at cars more seriously. There might be something in it, mightn't there? I don't know. Very odd. Who's somebody texted me at the same time? Hang on a minute. Let me just see what that was about in case it's something I need to know. Uncle Matt's space rocket is about to launch. Oh, interesting. My brother-in-law's brother is actually a rocket scientist. He works for NASA in Germany. And apparently his rocket is about to launch at 8:30. Oh, it's gone then 3 minutes ago. Hopefully it didn't go bang. Yeah, there we go. Gary says, need to get my console Capri finished before it's only worth scrap value. Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? If you've got a car sitting there, I guess get them done and get them sold. I don't know. Something's got to happen, isn't it? Because it just is not going to make any sense. You can't have all these, you know, lovely cars just banned, full stop. That just isn't going to happen, is it? You have to think of it logically. They will, I guess, just make it very, very, very expensive. And then those people who make these laws, your MPs and your lords, they'll just put their wages up to compensate, won't they? They don't care. It's going to cost an extra 20 grand a year to run your car. Well, that's fine, because we'll just give ourselves a 20 grand pay rise. So who cares? Doesn't matter. So I guess that is simply what will happen. It will just get very, very expensive. Interesting. Peter says, stick to what you're good at. What, machines and the like? Yes. Finding them is a problem, isn't it? To find them out in the wild, as it were. Yeah, and of course, I hardly ever get offered any, only obviously to put through the auctions, because people know that's what I do. When they find me, they're not they don't want to sell anything to me directly, because they want it to go for the auction, so they get the best price, of course, which is fair enough. And I wouldn't try and do otherwise. It's a bit of a slippery slope. There's a few auctioneers that do that, I could mention, but I won't. That go and try and buy things and then, you know, rip off the sellers. So I've always kind of avoided that. To just the odd ones that happen to come across out in the wild, either from other auctions sometimes, or occasionally big antique fairs, places like Newark, one or two used to turn up at. I've been to Newark for years. And just a few odd antique dealers and the like that I know that bring stuff to me now and again. It's very rare. I haven't bought a machine. Well, I bought a machine from Home Collection earlier in the year. But I haven't bought any as stock, as it were, to sell for 2 or 3 years, I think, probably pre-COVID. I don't think I bought one since before the lockdowns. I'm just trying to think. I don't think I have. What the last thing was I bought? Nothing exciting. It's like a high top or something probably. So I don't know. Yeah, it would just be whatever I can find, really, and whatever takes my eye. But probably generally in the fields of the stuff that you use yourself, because that's what I know most about and have a rough idea of what it's worth, essentially, isn't it? So probably in the realms of fairgroundy, slot machiney, advertising-y stuff, shop fitting-y type things, interesting old stuff, horror-y type stuff. Yeah, kind of quirky antiques and mechanical wizardry and gadgetry. That kind of thing, basically. But if I happen to see a pallet of something at half price, well then I might buy that. I don't know. I thought it would be a very interesting experiment, which you can all laugh along with as I go along and lose money. Hopefully not too much. Hopefully make some money. And see where we get to in a year's time. With a big auction, sell it all off. And see if we make any money. Then I guess if it works, do it all again. If it doesn't work, probably just crawl up and cry, I guess. I'm not sure. Who knows? Anyway, there we are. That was that idea. So anything else to tell you? I don't think so. So just to quick refresh, I'm around Cambridge tomorrow, Thursday, Friday for collections. Alan's coming tomorrow morning to collect. So if you haven't arranged anything you want Alan to collect, get hold of him this evening or first thing in the morning. You stick it on the van. Saturday, fingers crossed, be in Leamington. Probably usual sort of time, sort of either side of lunchtime-ish. And Sunday probably back at Cambridge. We're rapidly running toward Christmas, aren't we? Paul says this time next year you'll be a millionaire. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I could afford a film editor then, couldn't I? Finish your film off. Another project to do over winter. Yeah. Not sure about a millionaire. Be nice, wouldn't it? But I think in all seriousness, it's just a case of just trying to preserve what you've got, isn't it? Because money in the bank is losing money so quickly at the minute, which is all by design, in my opinion. Government are trying to make everybody poor quickly. And, you know, we've got to fight back somehow or other. And buying things and putting them in the shed seems to be as good as anything, to my mind. And if nothing else, at least you get to enjoy the things. If you buy the things you like and you know a little bit about, then, you know, nothing else, you can look at it, can't you? And hopefully they'll hold a bit of money together for when you need to sell them in the future. Right, so next video will be Friday night as usual. So I'm not sure if any new bits for the auction are coming in with Alan tomorrow or not. There's another couple of people due later in the week once the frosts have thawed out a little bit because people are stuck. So we'll see what arrives. There might be a few more snaps of stuff for Friday night. There we are. I think that's it. Right, I'm going to finish my tea and out a bit. It's cold here. And we'll catch you on Friday. If you have any bright ideas, things to buy in the meantime, do let me know. Right, I'm off. Nighty night.